My name's Steve Keller, and my goal is to complete all 5 Ultraman races in 1 year. First reason is just because the process of racing, recovering, racing again is a new element that I can add to my racing career. It's an experience that I haven't tried before. I really want to give exposure to the ultra triathlon community and what comes with racing and being involved with an Ultraman. These races are life-changing experience, and not a lot of people get to see it from the inside. So I really hope that my story tells the story of an Ultraman and what's involved, the people, the volunteers, the staff, for someone who may be interested in participating or completing an Ultraman. It wasn't something that I grew up doing. I didn't grow up swimming, didn't grow up cycling or running, and just gravitated towards the endurance community. I competed in several smaller, shorter triathlons, and then in 2019 was my first Ultraman. I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a clue much about the race, about the logistics. I went down with my wife, who was about 6 months pregnant, and one of my friends, and we took on the Ultraman. It went really well. I ended up getting second place in that very first Ultraman, and had a great experience. So a typical training week for me typically consists of anywhere from 19 to about 22 hours of training. Could be anywhere from 3 to 5 bike rides per week, 3 to 5 runs per week, and 3 to 5 swims per week. I do majority of my training indoors on the trainer. I do most of my running outdoors. That could consist of running on trails, running on pavement, running on the beach. And then for swimming, I usually swim on my lunch breaks, or on the weekends will swim in the afternoons when I have a little bit longer time to get into long swims. Every day for me starts at 3:10 a.m. I get my morning coffee, get my breakfast, walk the dog, and then I start training at 4 a.m. on the dot. I have to be done with my training most days by 6 a.m. in order to get my kids ready for school. We have a pretty, tight routine to get everybody up and out of the door, so I can drop them off at school and then get to work. I work a typical day job, take opportunities on most days to train at lunch. And then on the weekends, I still train very early in the morning with the goal to do most of my training while my family's sleeping. I try to be as present as possible for my kids and their activities. My kids are 9 and 5 years old, so they've got their own activities and sports that they're growing into, so the schedule's getting busier and busier as they get older, and I want to be present for them. So I try to do the training when they're not busy or while they're sleeping. I think my kids have always known that I train a lot and I like to do races. They've recently been able to come to some of the races that I'm doing or have done, and so they're getting a better idea of what's involved and how big some of these events can be. Seeing me active, it does rub off on them, and I can see that they're growing within their own interest in sport and staying active. So my wife's my biggest supporter. Anytime I've come to her with a race idea or a season idea, she's always been supportive. She knows that I'm going to factor in how that affects the family and her schedule. She's also very busy in her career. She also wants to be involved. She really loves the Ultraman community. She wants to come and crew for as many races as she can. I wouldn't be able to train as much as I do without her taking care of the kids and also, helping in the evenings, picking up the kids from their practices so I can maybe squeeze in an extra training session. Going into Florida, the first race, I am not planning on being at peak fitness. I intend to race to my best capacity, but also I've been very patient with my training coming through the winter, not trying to be too aggressive with the build. My hope is that Florida will almost be like a big training camp for me, and I'll be able to get a big boost in my endurance and then have a short recovery, a quick little 2 to 3 week stimulus just to kind of get the body moving again, and then taper again for Arizona. After Arizona, I intend to take a little bit longer recovery and then use a big part of the spring and summer to build even more of an endurance base and maybe even try to push a little bit of the top end speed going into Canada. The Canada course is an unknown, so there's going to be more logistics that I have to plan for that. I don't know the entirety of the course yet. I have studied it some, and I've had several people give me some advice for it, but I will have to get more race specific for that course. And then after Canada, I have Mexico, which is a new race on the Ultraman scene, and I'm really excited, but that adds even more logistics, and also it's a different type of race in terms of the course profile. It's at a little bit higher elevation than any of the other races, so I may factor that into some of the types of training that I do. Getting through Mexico, I will have a short turnaround before I have Ultraman Worlds, and ultimately Ultraman Worlds is the race I want to peak for. I did that race in 2022, so my goal is to hopefully peak for the 5th race in the series. The biggest thing about Ultraman is it truly is, it's a special event. It's one of a kind. The compassion and generosity of the Ohana, the family that is at each one of these races, the family that then sticks with you when the race is done, but they stay in contact with you, they check in, they're always there for you. It's not just about the race, it's about friendships. The bonds you create with the other athletes and their crew is so unique. It's such a supportive environment there. You really don't feel like you're racing against anyone else. You feel like everyone's there to help you get to the finish line. It's like nothing I've ever done before, and that's why I keep coming back, and that's why I want this documentary series to show how supportive and inclusive Ultraman is to the rest of the world.